Hello Collective, this is Ellie of Herbcraft by Ellie Apothecary, where the mundane meets the mystical. Explorations from the 3D to the 5D. This is an intentional ASMR black screen tarot quest long form message for the collective. It is a genuine collective message, which means there will be multiple energies we connect with. Grab your favorite snack, fidget toy, beverage, just kick back and hang out. I usually put a timestamp in the description box if you want to skip ahead the chit chat, though today I'm feeling like I'm just going to get right into it. We pulled the Lover's card, Ace of Pentacles, Four of Swords. I do call out every single card so you don't miss a thing. I post all the pictures of the cards that are the most relevant in the community page on the blog. Sometimes I remember to pin it in the comments of these videos when I upload them. Anyways, I'm a psychic, medium, empath, and professional astrologer. Death card. I am doing an intuitive read. The energy just picked up. Strength. If you want to claim this message at any point, Two of Swords, leave a heart in the comments. Tap the like button if you want me to pick up on your energy stronger. That is a form of energetic transference and equal give and take. This is most likely going to be a spiritual tarot reading, but in the pre-shuffle right before I started, we were pulling a lot of love cards. Two of Wands. I'm not going to take all that. Thank you. If you are a tarot or astrology enthusiast, you'll probably enjoy these readings. The Hierophant. We usually get into some interesting things over here. It's a journey. I also guide others as a spiritual guide, so if at any point you're uncomfortable because I have activated something in you, feel free to stop the video, leave, or save it to your watch later when you're feeling more strong, okay? I don't intentionally activate people. It's just one of my spiritual gifts that used to be a curse and now it's a blessing. King of Pentacles, right? If you like the music, Divine with Me playlist in my Spotify profile. All the links you could possibly desire are in the description box. The Divine with Me playlist on YouTube is where we put all of the collective tarot quests. Just pulled the Emperor. Interesting. We'll get into the cards in a moment. I'm working with the Luna editions of Ethereal Visions. I've got archetypes deck to do oracle, like a psychic read, and I also brought out a few more decks. We'll see what we work with today. These quests can last anywhere from an hour to 2 hours. Five of Cups. And I can't remember if I said it, but I always share the shorter form versions of these readings in the blog. King of Cups. Within a week of this original long form message being published, typically. So if you prefer short form, hit the notification bell, all notifications, and YouTube will let you know when those are up. Just pulled the Moon card. If you are able to take a deep breath, we will get rooted into this reading, and I'm going to ring my little bell to cleanse and clear everyone's energy. Eight of Pentacles, Knight of Swords, the Magician. This is interesting. I usually do like 3 rows of 4, so in this case I did 4 on the top and then 2 rows of 6 underneath that. I don't usually do that, but it called to me. I'm going to put the cards down now. Let's take that deep breath if you can. Ready? Deep breath in. And out. Bell? Okay, I'm going to read in. Let's get going. Thank you for being here, especially if you are already a part of our spiritual community. If you're looking for like some high frequency music to transmute to, I released 2 or 3 singing videos last week. I'm also a singer. I do it for fun. So you can find that in my singing practice playlist or one of the recent blogs. One of those recordings was me singing a little rusty, and the rest of them were better. I didn't practice for a while and then I got into it, so, you know. I do that to transmute energy and emotionally alchemize, and it can really help just like lift your spirits doing something creative, you know. Alright, I always let spirit come through and give the messages that are most prevalent here in the community, and also new people who are coming through who are meant to hear these messages will at the right time. Alright? Okay, so I'm going to read out these cards to you again one more time in the order. Again, there's 4 up top and then 6 below that and 6 below that. So at the top left we have the Lovers, Ace of Pentacles, 4 of Swords, Death. Below the Lovers, Strength. Below Ace of Pentacles, 2 of Swords. Below 4 of Swords is 2 of Wands. 2-2 synchronicity. I will call out all synchronicities. Pay attention to your own, because it's possible it could mean pay closer attention to the reading at that time. Or it could validate if you have more than a couple synchronicities that the reading is, or that part of the reading is for you. Okay. So under Death is the Hierophant. Next to that is King of Pentacles and the Emperor. Alright, under the Lovers and Strength is 5 of Cups. Under Ace of Pentacles and 2 of Swords is King of Cups. Under the 4 of Swords is 2 of Wands, the Moon. Under Death is the Hierophant and the 8 of Pentacles. Then we have King of Pentacles with the Knight of Swords underneath, and the Emperor with the Magician underneath. Alright, once you get comfortable, and I'm going to take a second and read into this. Alright, if you're still here, cool. The Lovers. So, the Lovers was originally called The Choice. Naturally, a lot of readers associate it with love, with a divine union, divine counterpart. It can also represent harmony and balance within yourself of both the divine masculine and divine feminine energies. Now, we are very inclusive over here on many different facets. I'm also an advocate. So you should know in tarot, gender is non-exclusive. There is certain masculine or feminine associations with the cards, but you can apply it in any way you choose. You can also be not in a heteronormative relationship and have more masculine or feminine energy no matter your gender, and so could your partner. Or you could identify strictly with the gender that is being represented. Now, I will be using he or her pronouns because that's what the cards represent, but look at it as like an aspect, an energy, not a confinement to biological identification. All right. So the Lovers, I'm strongly sensing union with self here. This was the first card out, and in the pre-shuffle, like I said, had a lot of love energy. Two of Cups kept wanting to come out. Ace of Cups was on the bottom at the beginning. So for some of you, this could be about love, or just finding love within yourself. Not just, that's a big deal if you find love within yourself. Unity, harmony. Ace of Pentacles is a divine blessing. By the way, if I mention a blessing of any kind, claim it. Claim it as yours if it resonates with you, and then surrender it to the divine. If you understand manifestation techniques and you understand how flow of energy works, you'll be able to bring more blessings into your life that way. You have to study it a little and learn about how that works, like the universal laws, okay? These are some of the things I talk about over here. But yeah, if I say a blessing like this Ace of Pentacles, this is a blessing from Spirit. It's usually a tangible gift. Could be material in any way. It could even represent a person. It could represent a windfall in money. It could represent great health. It could represent a new home, a new child, a new offer that helps you build your dream stability. Get what I'm saying? All right, so when a blessing comes up, claim it if it rings true to you. Wow, somebody didn't like that. My crystal just went flying. And don't let anybody steal your blessings either. Claim it and then surrender it to the divine, and the divine will make sure it comes back to you. Yeah. Four of Swords next to the Ace of Pentacles. This card can represent resting on something, meditating, taking a pause. And then Death next to that doesn't typically identify as actual death, okay? It's representative of life, death, rebirth, a serious change. With Strength underneath the Lovers, this tells me that for this part of the collective that I am reading on, you did have to overcome quite a bit to find this unity within yourself. You've had to make some decisions based on your intuition and your intellect. Again, with the Two of Swords and the Four of Swords, I'm seeing 2-4, by the way, synchronicity. I'm seeing somebody who really had to think hard about a decision to make sure they were clear, which could have required blocking out certain energies that were keeping them at a crossroads. This is at Ace of Pentacles. With this energy, I almost feel like this blessing has been blocked, has been stuck in place. The Two of Wands next to that, that's about making decisions about how you go forward, making plans, looking at your options. It's like, it's kind of the manifestation stage. Ace of Wands is like, it's not on the table here, but in reference, it's the divine, passionate gift of inspiration and taking action on something that is very positive. So then the Two of Wands is figuring out how to utilize that blessing, right? And then typically the Three of Wands is expanding into and releasing that blessing and waiting for your ships to come back in. Though remember, don't wait for your manifestations to come back in, because you will put yourself in the energy of waiting, which tells the universe that you are still waiting for what you desire. Keep that in mind. I feel like that was important for someone. The Hierophant under death, I feel like this is divine intervention that forced a change. I'm seeing the Tower card in my mind's eye, which is associated with the Death card because they're both scorpionic Pluto cards that represent big change. The Hierophant can represent a few different factors, but in this particular case, I'm sensing God or the gods and goddesses that divinely orchestrated some kind of ending for a reason. It has something to do with your plans and some decisions you had to make. You had to be very strong in making this decision. Yeah, King of Pentacles, you had to be very grounded. You had to keep in mind what you were growing, how far you've already come with your abundance. If you got the Ace of Pentacles here and the King of Pentacles, that is solid mastery of manifestation. And we also have the Magician down here diagonally to the right below the Emperor, crisscrossing the King of Pentacles. So I feel like some of you in this particular energy are master manifestors. Like, you know how to bring into the physical from the 5D. Again, explorations from the 3D to the 5D. That's part of my shop tagline, right? This is about grounding your manifestations into reality. It's good to visualize, it's good to think, but if you never actually take the physical steps, you can't master the act of manifestation. It's like sitting around, and this is a classic example, and I'm not shaming anybody, I'm trying to enlighten people, okay? I give loving, compassionate, straight talk, alright? But a classic example of how you can block your blessings is, say you're looking for a job, you're obsessing about it all the time, you're thinking about what kind of job you want, you decide to give manifestation a try. You start thinking about what kind of job you want, what kind of position you want to fill, what kind of money you want, what kind of location, do you need this and that and da 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 da, right? You're visualizing, you're imagining what will fit you, right? And some people don't have the luxury, really, but if you can train your mind to believe that you have the luxury, you can actually elevate. It takes consistent practice and diligence to master manifestation work, but it's not impossible. Anybody can do it. Anybody can be the magician. And we're not talking about witchcraft, though I am inclusive here and pagan and a non-denominational channel. And I also believe in God. So I work with many gods and goddesses and have a lot of experience and understanding as a high priestess, all right? So all are welcome here, okay? Let's go back to the example. Somebody's wanting a job and they're in the stage of manifestation, okay? If you aren't there yet, pay attention. Maybe you'll learn something that'll help you on your path. That's the whole point of this, is spiritual guidance, okay? So once you are done visualizing and figuring out, okay, I want to do this and this and this, we get here, that's kind of the Ace of Wands, the imagining, the speaking it into existence. The next thing you want to do is actually take action on that. You have to find out where those jobs are that fit that mold, right? You have to put in the actual energetic effort. Otherwise, the energy stagnates, okay? And it just becomes a worry instead of something to get excited about. So you go out and you start looking for your job, right? You know where you're going to go, and you start taking the physical steps. You start planning your route. Be like, hey, I'm going to put in an app here. I'm going to put in an app here. A lot of places these days, it's online applications. But back in the day, you know, anybody who was a elder millennial or earlier actually had to go walk applications. You learned, oh, I'm going to go shake this person's hand. I'm going to find out who the manager is. I'm going to introduce myself and make an impression. That way when they get my application from HR, they actually remember me, right? That's just like basic way that you can still actually put in a good effort towards getting a job, Now this is feeling like a lecture, but I felt like somebody needed an example to ground the idea of manifestation, okay? So you've already visualized everything you want, you've taken the physical steps, you've made a plan. So what would be the next option, right? And I'm getting chills as I say this, so this is Spirit confirming this message. What would naturally come after that is the Three of Wands. That's, like I said, it's typically someone standing on a cliff watching their ships come in or waiting for their ships to come in. They're on a journey. There's some kind of expansion happening. It's something that's brewing, right? And then the next card after that would be the Four of Wands, which is the cementing, the solidification of that actual manifestation. It's something to celebrate. It's something to have, to hold, to enjoy. Though it's not a pentacle, it is a structure of some kind, if that makes sense. Okay, so it could be the solidification of a belief, right? So we want to believe it before we see it. That's actually how you manifest. It starts in the 5D and it comes down to the 3D, okay? And one of the key important parts of this is once you visualize, once you put in the physical steps, with the job example, you would do all that and then you would say, okay, I am going to set the intention that one of these jobs is my dream job. It's everything I want, or it's close to everything I want. It's in alignment with me. It's for my highest and greatest good, and I'm going to give it to the universe. And I'm going to allow the universe to take it from here. Send it back up to the 5D and watch them bring it back down where you ground it into reality. And if you know how to use your intuition, you can follow that and you can discover, okay, is this really for me? Because sometimes you'll get tested by the universe. And if you're in a position of feeling desperate about getting a job, you're probably going to go for whatever the first thing is, right? And I'm not saying don't do that. I'm just saying put some extra thought and like check in with yourself and be like, does this feel like it's in alignment with me? And pay attention, okay? So that's kind of an example, but once you set your intentions, you got to let it go. You actually have to surrender it, like we were talking about blessings, to the divine and trust that they're going to follow through. Okay? You can set the intention that this happens with divine time, which is always right on time, by the way. And if you don't have patience and you don't like hearing divine time, well, that's the universe telling you to work on your patience. Okay? So that was a little mini manifestation tutorial there. And this is also how you become the emperor. Like, you become in control of your own domain, and not in a toxic way. If it was toxic, this would be the emperor in reverse. No, this is like the ultimate boss daddy. And again, gender, it doesn't matter. Boss baddie, whatever. But this is somebody who not only has a kingdom but an empire. And that doesn't have to be an actual, like, say, huge corporation or anything like that, but it could be. It's just you. If, for example, on the most basic level, say you come from a place where you had a lot of roommates before because y'all had to like scrounge up money or whatever, and you had to have community living, and maybe you always desire just to have your own place, right? And you can be any age for this to apply. And you say, let's use that job analogy, you manifested the job that's actually in alignment with you, that you can actually be happy with, and it surprises you and it makes you believe in yourself. And then you go, all right, well, I can actually get that place. I can be in control of my own domain. I can put my things where I want. I don't have to worry about people coming and going. That is the most basic example of the emperor, right? And it's also being responsible and accountable for your actions. You can go out and get things done and know that you can count on yourself, right? Like I said, boss daddy energy. That's also the high-ranking court card, or card in the tarot, next to, of course, over here with the Hierophant and other spiritual high-ranking cards above that. And it's above the Magician card here. And it's interesting, diagonally across the spread, we have The Lovers and the Magician, that's Gemini energy across the way, which is also mercurial energy, okay? Mercury also rules Virgo, and that's appropriate considering Virgo typically rules work and service and how we show up and serve and slay, as some say. So there's a big emphasis here on communication, travel, local environments. We are, again, this is a timeless message if I didn't say that before. However, I bring up the astrology because even though it may not be relevant at the time you're watching it later, which is now for you if you are, it's relevant to the energy that's going into this reading. So if it doesn't apply to your current time, think about when like the next Mercury retrograde is for you, right? Whatever the next one is for the collective. You can also look at your Mercury placements or your third house placements to dive deeper into how you communicate. Okay? Again, I'm a professional astrologer, so I can read your birth chart if you want to schedule with me. Yeah, this is kind of like holding this pinnacle of something needs to be communicated here about how you can ground whatever this decision is to pull this blessing forward. Remember, we were talking about the Ace of Pentacles. This unity, this strength, it's caused a lot of pain. Some of you are in deep regret, remorse. You're really stuck in the feels, so to speak. And again, not being judgmental. I just call it how it is, okay? And I'm here to give you support, not criticize you, okay? If you feel criticized, that means I've hit a trigger, which means I might be activating you, and that's okay. And if it's not okay with you, you have permission for yourself to leave, okay? But if you have courage, stay with it. Strength card can also represent courage. Some of you have had to have a lot of courage to get through these darker feelings. This unity within self or with another, or even spirit through the Lovers card here, it's not something that was easily obtained. But whatever it is, whatever this decision you had to make, it did turn you into the King of Cups. Okay, the King of Cups is the most emotionally intelligent, regulated, kind, compassionate, yet stoic and reserved energy. Okay, this is a master of the emotions and also being able to use your intellect wisely. It's also a very creative, nurturing energy. So for some of you, I'm picking up on there was a tremendous amount of emotional healing. Some of you had to make a decision to stop a cycle of getting lost in the darkness, lost in the shadow. I encourage a balance of light and shadow. And again, the Lovers is that divine balance, not just between masculine and feminine energies, which again, masculine is active, feminine is receptive, okay? That's not saying the boys are active and girls are, again, it's not about gender, it's about energy. This is an energy reading, okay? So yeah, some of you really had to overcome some really difficult things. You had, we were talking about the shadow, right? Being in balance with yourself means you can access both the shadow and the light for the highest and greatest good. Which means you came into balance with yourself and understanding what threw you too far into the shadow and what made you shine your light. Some of you are still very much going through this process. I have the moon here under the Two of Wands. Some of you don't know how you're going to move forward. You don't know what your plan is with that under the Two of Wands. It's kind of hidden. It's submerged. This is something you've been working on for a long time. with the Eight of Pentacles. For some of you, this is a divine connection, and I'm not talking about love in this particular case. It's a divine connection you have been working on. It is communion with spirit. You've had to make some serious life changes in order to tap into spirit. Some of you want to tell everybody about this journey with the Knight of Swords. You want to come in quick, and you want to be a messenger for your cause, I'm hearing for some of you. And some of you, this is exactly what you're supposed to do with the Knight of Swords under the King of Pentacles. You're meant to be a stable, grounded force who's very successful in communicating whatever it is that your purpose is, okay? Whatever that means to you. The Magician here. I'm getting a side message that some of you are too focused on the manifestation stage, but you haven't overcome this darkness over here with the Five of Cups yet. And a change is needed. And it seems like coming into unity and balance is that change. That if you are able to focus on, I'm hearing, regulate your emotions, you will be able to bring your manifestations in on a whole new level. And this Ace of Pentacles, I'm hearing it's bound to triple, whatever that means. And also remember, equivalent law of exchange, right? One of the laws of the universe. We always want to ask for exactly what is a match to that which we are trying to bring in. You can always put the added intention that if the universe knows it's fair and just to give you more than what you're asking for. Okay? So that seemed like it's for somebody who is looking, or a few people here that are looking for tips on how to bring their intentions into reality. Some of you are having a lot of fun with this. There's just the song in the background, a whole lot of shaking going on. It's just like, yeah, I'm going to get into it. I'm going to have fun with this. That's right. Create. This Ace of Pentacles could be a new blessing of a creative project. I'm going to, I got King of Swords on the bottom. That just further confirms. I just saw the Wheel of Fortune too. And the Three of Cups. Wow. I'm not going to take any of those, but that's telling me it's your time, I heard. I have clairaudience, by the way. It's one of my psychic gifts. Some of you have a lot of difficulty communicating. My throat chakra's closing up. The Sun. Wow. Yeah. For some of you, this is about shining, being your best self, learning how to exist in a higher frequency in order to attract that which you are trying to call in. So it's like the saying, embody the magic that you want to see in the world, right? Embody that which you want to create. So you start getting into the energy of that frequency, right? And you become a powerhouse once you have mastered that. And that's not about copycatting. It's not about faking it till you make it, though it kind of seems similar, right? It's about going, what does this feel like if I, not if, but when I accomplish this? Again, speak in present tense. If you aren't quite there, then just be mindful that eventually you're going to want to update your intentions to be present tense as if it's already happening, okay? Because then you become a match to the energy. It's like the whole thing we were talking about with waiting. If you're constantly waiting, you're telling the universe you're okay waiting. Whereas if you command it forward, you're stating to the universe, I'm a match to this. And you start embodying that energy, and then all of a sudden the universe says, oh, you're right, here you go. Six of Swords. finding balance in your communication, finding a way to move forward in life in a safe, pleasant, balanced, harmonious way. Understanding that you do have tools at your disposal here, and you are guiding your own ship here, but Spirit is all around you and here to help you understand how to do this, okay? I'd like to know more about for some of you, again, this could be different, apply it how it fits. Ace of Pentacles, what is this divine blessing that we are freeing up? And it looks like, again, some of you already made a hard decision that required a serious change. Some of you, I'm hearing, gave it up to God, so you know how to let go of things and move forward and know that they're going to come back to you, right? But I'd like to know more about this Ace of Pentacles, this tangible blessing from Spirit. Eight of Wands. The ability to move forward. Maybe you are the blessing and the gift. That's for some. Eight of Wands is about quick moving action, about communicating quickly, about travel, getting through something, getting very Sagittarian energy. We did just enter Sagittarius season. Again, timeless message. If you are not in Sagittarius season, perhaps you're a Sagittarius, or you want to look at a Sagittarian part of your chart, and that'll help you understand how to access this blessing. Four of Cups. Yeah, some of you don't see this blessing coming. So for some of you, this is going to be a very quick move on something that is going to bring you into this energy. I'm looking over here at the Emperor, of being in control of your own domain, or feeling like you have authority or autonomy. Seven of Pentacles. Some of you are really focused on something you have invested in, something that's going to give you sustainable long-term growth. And that's one reason you may not be paying attention to this opportunity. Or you would rather focus on what you're already invested in than take action on this blessing, which really that means you're telling the universe that you're not interested in this blessing. And if you see this Four of Cups, it's typically a person who's not paying attention, who's kind of feeling blah, and they don't really care. They don't really want to focus on anything new. They just kind of want to stay where they're at, meditate, go through the feelings, and Spirit's like, hey, check this out. We got something for you. And over here with the Seven of Pentacles, some of these energies are going, that's nice, but I'm busy. And that's cool. I mean, if that's how you feel, that's how you feel. What is it that some of you are so heavily invested in that has got your focus, that is distracting you from this divine gift? The Empress. Wow. Okay. We have the Emperor and the Empress on the table. And whoever this energy is about, you are in the Emperor energy. So you're in your more divine masculine energy. But you're focused on an Empress. This could be a person, but typically this is a divine match. This is the highest union you can come into. This is it's either a spiritual union or it's the deepest love you could ever hope to achieve. It could also, again, represent the divine union within yourself with the Lover's card. And this is the ultimate divine masculine and feminine in the tarot. So some of you are really invested in mastering the divine feminine side within you. So how is this energy? We're not going to put it on any particular way yet. We're going to see where Spirit's taking this. I had something there, but it kind of went away. Hold on a sec. I think I'm getting a download on this. Tell me more about the Empress here, Spirit. The Five of Swords. Huh. For some of you, you're really invested in speaking more kindly to yourself. Perhaps you're looking at ways that you haven't been very receptive or nurturing in the past. If this is about you integrating your more divine feminine side, you're very invested in being kinder and nurturing, especially the way you speak and communicate. I'm feeling a heavy emphasis on communication in this reading with all the Gemini plus us being in a Mercury retrograde. It's about reviewing, going back, looking at any ways that you have communicated in the past, right? Or dealt with people in your local community. So some of you are so invested in, I'm hearing, self-development. For some of you, I just got a side download that you are thinking about how a feminine figure, older feminine figure in your life was malicious with their words. And this has you really invested in healing that toxic feminine side of you that you developed because of that emotional trauma, I'm hearing. And I mean, if you are going through a lot of healing, especially down here with the Five of Cups on the bottom left, for those of you that are still in the feels, are still in a loop, I'm hearing, especially mentally, this can really make it to where you can't really focus on what's going on outside of your local environment, right? Which could be as something as simple as where you live. It could be your work environment. For some of you, this is about ways you have spoken to an Empress in the past, as far as the love portion of this might go. Some of you have been not completely transparent with your words. This is where we could get into real talk for some of you. So if you don't have the stones to stick around, skip ahead, or, you know, happy trails. I wish you luck. Five of Swords is, quite frankly, the card of narcissists. And I don't usually drop that word on this, but since we're talking about deep emotional healing from malicious words, that can represent that. So whether you would say you are or you aren't, or there was somebody in your life, perhaps it was this Empress, perhaps you were really invested in an Empress, though an Empress is the ultimate divine feminine. That's extremely unlikely that a real Empress would be with those character traits, okay? So if you're projecting that onto that person, and that's what you're invested in, is seeing all the potentially terrible things about this person, it seems like you're in a loop. You're in an emotional loop, and you're having difficulty focusing on anything else because it seems like you might, and again, I have a disclaimer in the description box. I'm not a professional mental or medical health worker. I'm an advocate. I spread awareness, I break stigmas, and I openly speak about these things as a healer, okay? But some of you might have been projecting onto this person because, again, and an Emperor doesn't typically do that either. An Emperor in reverse, like we were speaking to earlier, would be like a totalitarian, would be somebody who enjoys coercive control. Trigger warning. Sorry, everyone. See something on this Emperor. Justice. Wow. Okay. Well, that just took a different turn. This is for a different group, it seems. It seems like whoever you are invested in getting this right. You are truly thinking about being in balance with yourself and doing what is just and fair. For some of you, you have justice called on you because of prior actions and ways that you have been malicious to a nurturing person in your life. And it doesn't have to be love. It could be like a feminine identifying figure in your life, like a sister, especially an older sister, I'm hearing for some of you. Or, again, mother figures coming in strong. Perhaps you were the one that was unkind with your words to your mother for some of you. And this is a block. This is why Spirit's bringing this up. I mean, again, we have heavy communication, getting lost in loops and feelings here. And underneath the Empress and the Seven of Pentacles and the Five of Swords is the Six of Swords. So there is a progression here. And don't forget we have the Hierophant underneath that, and then Death above that. So it's like Spirit, the Divine, are helping you get through this change, helping you take the steps in order to overcome this loop. But you have to pay attention. I get the feeling that this Ace of Pentacles has something to do with a turnaround, with breaking a loop here. But you're not focused on it because you're so deep in the work that you're wow, okay, the deck just flipped. Did you hear that? Nine of Wands. That's the Wounded Warrior card. And then we have the High Priestess that was on the top of the deck, and the King of Swords that came out all weird. I'm going to leave those in. But this is about knowing deeply, intuitively, how you speak your words, how you communicate, and also how you cut out nonsense. Some of you are operating from your wounds. Some of you are projecting onto others. And I know I'm going to lose a bunch of people from this because they can't handle it. And I did try to warn y'all, you know. But I find solutions. I'm not just going to sit here and criticize you, okay? I'm a guide, and Spirit is working through me for the highest and greatest good here. I'm going to take the Nine of Wands, but leave the rest in there. So some of you are also working on healing yourself after a long, strenuous journey, and you have been fighting off people time and time and time again, which is why you're taking the time to invest in this nurturing. Some of you are also being very unkind to yourself, not nurturing yourself in the way you need to be, and that's keeping you in your wounds. Perhaps I'm getting back to this mother figure that was toxic, that was malicious with their words, however you want to take that, okay? And again, I would suggest cleansing after this reading if you feel triggered, to clear the energy so you don't get stuck, okay? Ask Spirit to help you not get stuck in a loop. Ask for clarity, ask for healing, and they will help you. You'll get it through signs, synchronicities, epiphanies. Tap in, meditate if you can. But don't lose yourself in the work. Don't become consumed in the work, because then you'll knock yourself out of balance. And when you are dealing with trauma, especially with childhood developmental issues that trauma can cause, which can cause delays in cognitive functioning, you can actually dissociate, which is different than disassociate. Okay, I've explained this before. To dissociate is to lose yourself, to be removed from yourself, right? Disassociate is to remove yourself from others. So when you dissociate, it can cause you to disassociate from life and others, right? By removing yourself, which means if you possibly felt isolated when you were young because of some mental and emotional trauma you went through in your family system, you may have a tendency of getting stuck in these self-defeating, self-sabotaging cycles where you get caught up in the energy of the past, and that's called an emotional flashback, by the way. It's where a situation will trigger a wound, right? We have the Wounded Warrior here. So perhaps somebody says something to you and they don't mean for it to hurt your feelings, but it makes you feel really uncomfortable, really angry, and you don't know why. And perhaps some of you haven't really worked on emotional regulation, which we were talking about earlier. Some of you are working on that, right? And even if you are working on it, sometimes the trigger will take you by surprise. And that can cause you to neurologically dysregulate then, okay? And then when you neurologically dysregulate, you don't make the best decisions. It can impact your memory. It can impact other factors that can make you not be able to focus on things, be distracted, which means it's easier for you to slip into negative, lower level energies. Even if you're a high vibrational spiritual person, I personally have struggled with complex trauma my whole life, so I know exactly what I'm talking about. This is why I became an advocate, was to help other people after spending over 13 years mastering my mind, my emotions, and the self, okay? So I'm not saying I'm an expert, but I do have a lot of information I have learned on my journey. For some of you, check out my public playlist called Support for Survivors. It is other people, it's even professionals in the field, and also stories and advocacy that will open your mind and help you find your way. If you are at the beginning of this, it might be important for you to go down that route, okay? I wasn't planning on having this deep of a reading, but again, I never plan. I just see where Spirit takes us. But apparently some of you really needed the emotional support, which, believe it or not, that's what I'm doing. And that makes me think some of you, and I'm channeling right now, so just bear with me, some of you actually recoil when you receive nurturing, when you receive love, because you don't trust it. And again, if you've been wounded a lot where you keep ending up with the same kind of people in different aspects of your life or different situations, those of you that are more aware are going to work on that and try to break it, that pattern, that cycle, that loop. But again, being so submerged in the shadow, you can get lost in the shadow, lost in your wounds, which makes you continue a self-sabotage, self-defeating loop. And I feel like I'm talking in circles here, which is indicative of the energy. For some of you, look up the asteroid Chiron, where that is in your birth chart, okay? Chiron is the asteroid that represents the wounded healer, okay? And once you master your Chiron placement, you can actually help other people heal that same aspect within themselves. So if you are a spiritual worker or you do want to help the collective, you have to master your own wounds, right? I didn't start calling myself a healer until I myself did that, all right? Actually, kind of interesting, this is just a little side note about me with my astrology. Since we have such a strong Gemini communication emphasis on here, my 12th house, which is the house that rules the hidden, the subconscious, the psychic, the ethereal, it's typically ruled by Neptune or Pisces, right? The place, the house, not in your particular chart. If you don't know astrology, this might be a little confusing, so just hang with. Anyways, we all have a different sign in each house, right? And each of those signs also is ruled by a planet. You can go deeper than that if you want. Anyways, the point is my 12th house is in Gemini, which is the most communicative sign in the zodiac, okay? So I have my Chiron in 12th house Gemini. I did a short video on this about a year ago talking about how until I became comfortable with my subconscious, I wasn't able to tap into my psychic mediumship gifts, which is about communicating from the hidden, the deep, the subconscious. All right. So when I mastered my wounds, when it came to communicating my deepest parts of myself and being comfortable with leading with those vulnerabilities, again, 12th house is ruled by Pisces, Neptune, extremely deep feeling. I was able to launch my gifts on a public sphere and help other people learn how to communicate and master their emotions and the hidden, the deep. But I had deep fears and themes in my life that mirrored that pushed me into boxes where I wasn't allowed to express myself. And to this day, I still have people trying to shut me up and make me be quiet. But that's all right. Spirit and I aren't having it anymore. I earned my voice, and you can too. So for some of you, look at your Chiron placement. For some of you, look at your third house where your communication lies, what sign you have your Mercury, which is typically but not always the same sign as your sun sign because they transit very similar speeds. And that can kind of give you an idea of how you can communicate better. And for some of you, your 12th house, so your subconscious mind. Okay? If you're doing the deep emotional healing, that will help you. But if you're getting lost in these cycles here, Spirit's telling you to take a deep breath. Perhaps for some of you, if you are in a position where you can do this, perhaps there is an opportunity, like I'm hearing a trip or an adventure or starting something tangible that is going to take your mind off these loops. For some of you, I'm hearing it is this Empress, the Empress that you made the distraction that you're invested in, that for some of you, you are trying to like hyper heal for, is the gift, but you haven't actually accepted the gift because you're so busy doing the shadow work. You haven't actually brought this into the 3D realm. And for some of you, I'm hearing you haven't communicated. And again, if you're so focused on the work and not what's right in front of you, you may miss an opportunity. And I'm not saying you're going to. Unfortunately, some of you have already learned this lesson, and that is your justice. Because justice over here on top of the Emperor. Some of you have unfortunately learned this hard lesson, and it has made you feel very wounded. So I feel like the energy is shifting to a more past timeline for some of you. What is, before we move on to that, if we move on to that, excuse me, pardon me, confirmation burp for some of you. Spirit, I feel like, like I said, for some of you, the solution is taking a trip or starting a tangible project, and that is the blessing. It could break up the energy. It's like that saying, what was it? Einstein had some of his most brilliant epiphanies in the bathtub when his wife made him take a break. If it wasn't Einstein, it was another like creative, intelligent genius. It's well known. If you're too close to something, sometimes you can't see the bigger picture. And you can get lost in the details. And there's that phrase, the devil is in the details. Well, the distractions, the details. Also getting stuck in your mind. Again, this Five of Swords could represent somebody who is being very unkind to themselves. Perhaps you had somebody in your childhood who did that to you, and every time you get dysregulated from being stuck in a loop, which by the way is a sign that you can pay attention to call your energy back and ground yourself. Some of you just need to learn how to master the art of grounding and being in the present moment, like this King of Pentacles over here in between the Hierophant and the Emperor. It's like the divine are saying that for some of you, it's something as simple as learning how to ground and have a grounding practice to be able to anchor in everything you are trying to create, whether it's healing, whether it's a connection, whether it's a new business venture. For some of you with the Ace of Pentacles, it could be the gift of getting approved of a loan for something, or inheriting property for some of you. Oh, I just got chills. That's true for some of you. Wow, the cards are just jumping about. King of Swords with the Ace of Wands. We were talking about both those cards, and I am a psychic medium, so I do tend to call out the energy before it appears often in the cards. And King of Swords is the master of communication. It's also somebody who doesn't play around with their words, and who can also be seen as kind of cold and calculating and sharp, maybe a little too stoic for some of you. But the Ace of Wands is this new divine inspiration. This is another divine blessing or gift. Again, claim your blessings or gifts, okay? For some of you, I'm hearing that this divine blessing is going to give you the inspiration to master communication and speech, and also mastering your mind. For some of you, you might get stuck in mental loops, and that can actually feed the emotional trauma, which keeps you stuck in place, missing out on some opportunities. Maybe some of you have learned this, and this divine blessing was learning how to speak in a way that is diplomatic, that is fair. Again, we have the Justice card over the Emperor. Some of you, interesting, I don't usually pick up on specific professions, but some of you might have actually entered the legal field or are mastering a higher level of it and doing something in your local community that is bringing justice because of overcoming these wounds. So that's past, wow, the Well. That's an extra card in this deck, which is like the Empress 2.0. Yeah, some of you have mastered nurturing your emotions and coming out of emotional healing. This is interesting. It makes me think of Pluto and Aquarius, the transit that we started over a year ago, that is in effect essentially 15 to 20 years, and Pluto is the planet of transformation. There is so much more I could go into that, but Aquarius is an air sign, which the King of Swords can represent. I'm not saying you're an air sign, but this is the energy, okay? You could be, but this is the energy. Whatever it is that you mastered with your mind or your communication, this has given you limitless possibilities. And some of you, when you break out of this loop, you're going to be able to accomplish that. Okay, but you have to, sometimes part of the thing about the Empress that a lot of people forget is, in order to receive, you have to rest. And I used to be in my toxic masculine, again, we're talking about energy, not gender. I was in my toxic masculine most of my life because I was taught to not nurture my emotions, to not express my feelings. And in a lot of ways, I've experienced a lot of this because this is a collective read and I am part of the collective. So I know a lot about this journey and this process. And when you can get out of the loop and you can master emotional intelligence and use your words with discernment and power, you have wise judgment, you have better control over your faculties and how you present yourself. Really, you do have limitless possibilities that you can create, that you can pull from. So for some of you, this is about breaking up your routine in order to get there. For some of you, this is about pulling away from the shadow work and stabilizing and grounding so you can really see things in a different light, okay? And for some of you, this is about looking at the ways that you have caught other people up in loops and not nurtured, okay? What I was talking about, me personally, and the nurturance and the rest and all that, being in my toxic masculine most of my life, that also had to do with, I had to be independent, you know, almost hyper independent. And until I allowed myself to rest, I didn't really understand that that was okay. I didn't really know how to nurture myself until I worked on my self-love. And I healed a lot of emotional wounds, right? I just pulled the Hermit. Yeah, I went into Hermit mode. I did do the work. I did the shadow work. And for some of you, you are doing the same thing right now. You are on your Hermit's journey. You are thick in the feels and trying to discern and look at all the details really up close. For some of you, I'm sensing there is a pressure to do this for another person, and it's making it harder on you, it's stressing you out, and it's actually making you get lost in the cycle more, you have to want to do this for yourself. And I know a lot of people don't want to hear that, but if you don't want to hear that, that's a red flag that you are not doing it for yourself. If you are trying to catch up to somebody and you don't feel like you are worthy enough, you are going to stay in a perpetual loop of not being good enough and wanting to catch up. Okay? Again, we were talking about embodying the energy. For some of you, you're already the emperor. You already have mastered taking action on something. But for some reason, this difficulty with communication or getting stuck in these emotional loops, it knocks you out of balance. I feel like that particular group could use a little more guidance, so I'm going to go into that, and then I'd like to switch up the energy. I'm feeling called to some oracle, but we'll see. Okay, let's just keep going with the journey. Thank you for being here. If you're still here after all that guidance, you're a strong soul, and I appreciate you seeing things from other perspectives. Okay, perhaps this reading is a tower moment for you, which is unexpected change and sudden epiphanies and forced transformation by the divine. The divine is here on the table with the Hierophant. I don't always read that as a God energy or a source energy, but in this particular reading, I really feel like that's what that represents. Okay, so Spirit, what guidance do you have for the highest and greatest good, the energies that are stuck in these loops, we'll call them? Whoever you're doing this for, let's just say, to help you personally, okay? Other than breaking up the energy, other than going on a trip and changing scenery or routine, other than pulling back from the details or the shadow work, what is it that we can tell these energies? Interesting. The song Hailing by FC Kahuna just came on, and the lyrics of the song is, don't think about all those things you fear, just be glad to be here. And then it repeats and goes on and on. Okay? So Spirit's answering right away with those song lyrics. I have a music playlist on my Spotify called Transmute It. I share it all the time. It's a very wide music variety, and if you are an emotional alchemist or you're wanting to regulate your emotions, it could help you get through it. Just hit shuffle and ask Spirit to guide the flow and see what comes up. Pay attention to any lyrics that come up. Anybody can do this. You don't have to divine. You don't have to be a psychic. You can just, if you can just trust the process and get into the flow, Spirit will guide you. Okay? For some of you, that's something that's going to help you. All right, we got a card. Knight of Wands. For some of you, they're saying take action. Whatever it is that you feel in your gut and your heart that you need to take quick, passionate action on, they're telling you to take it. So for some of you, it's just a matter of, it could be that the self-sabotage, the cycle that you're in, even if you have good intentions, it's kind of like your shadow is blocking you from actually doing the thing. We were talking about that at the beginning, about you can set intentions all day long, but if you aren't willing to actually go out, and in the job reference we used earlier, if you aren't actually willing to go out and put in applications and speak to people and then trust the process and let it go, it's just, it's a wish. And there's nothing wrong with making wishes. You can make wishes, you can make prayers and ask the divine, but that's more putting it out there for when you're in alignment to it, right? When you're setting intentions and manifesting, you're taking a next level mental action to bring something into your physical reality. And also, if you're doing this kind of work or spiritual work or even emotional, intellectual work, grounding is a part of that natural balance, right? So for some of you who only think or only feel, or it goes back and forth and one triggers the next, perhaps you should look at how that has sabotaged you in the past, not taking action. For some of you, you have a great fear of taking action. It's going to take a lot of courage and bravery. Now, don't go doing things that you don't feel right doing, okay? If your gut is telling you you shouldn't take action because of an actual good reason, right? Like you know it's dangerous or reckless, which the Knight of Wands can be, and it's negative, but we don't have, in fact, I don't think we have any reversals on this table at all. And as you can tell, I've been shuffling this whole time. By the way, I do visual readings as well. I just, whatever. It's whatever I feel like doing at the time. So you can check that out in the playlist if you want to see me work with the cards. I have some readings on that playlist, Divine With Me. Knight of Wands, yeah. I really feel like I'm getting a download that some of you used to be impulsive and you perhaps are criticizing yourself for how you have acted in the past. But let me ask you something. Do you consider yourself a reckless person now? And what evidence of that do you have? If you do, then you know that those are some things to address that could possibly help with the emotional or mental work. But again, this is about quick, direct action. What else can we say about the Knight of Wands energy for this particular group, Spirit? How can we help for the highest and greatest good? And what can help with the courage and bravery? I'm going to pull 2 cards. Oh, well, that's interesting. Knight of Pentacles and the Queen of Pentacles. Well, that is a progression. There is a strong emphasis on grounding, on continuing, of keep moving forward. Even if it seems slow, keep moving forward. So it's definitely telling you to stop focusing on cycles that are keeping you stuck, that it doesn't matter how slow you go. And for some of you, I'm hearing that you have been so focused on taking these grounded, slow steps that you're having difficulty taking action when it's appropriate. And over here with the Queen of Pentacles, you have mastered some kind of stability within yourself. You have some kind of comfort, some kind of self-care within yourself that has allowed you to establish yourself in some way. So for some of you, perhaps the sabotage is you're using your past as a reason to not move forward. So for some of you, you're not acknowledging how far you've come, and you're only focusing on your negative traits of the past, again, getting too stuck in the shadow, right? There's a reason that you have the energy you do. I'm feeling a strong Sagittarian emphasis, which the Knight of Wands does rule. And then we have the slow Knight and the quick Knight here, okay? We also have the Knight of Swords down here. We almost have all the Knights. Yeah. The only thing we don't have is the Knight of Cups. I feel like, yeah, we had a reading last spring about that. It's like, and it was a love reading too. And I remember saying, this is the second time I've mentioned this. Somebody's probably going to want to go watch that Divine Union reading from, I think it was April, maybe March. Yeah, something about if in a love reading, the one knight you would want is the Knight of Cups, the knight that's going to offer their cup of love, right? Be nurturing, be compassionate, go for it, and express the feelings, which is very appropriate if for those of you that associate this with somebody who is someone you want to love, you see as an ultimate match. Perhaps they have inspired you to level up in some way, but you're putting too much pressure on yourself and you're focusing too much, for some of you, on sabotaging yourself by telling yourself you can't go after what you want and that it's important for you to take your time. But the thing is if you keep delaying it, eventually that inspiration to act, and we had the Ace of Wands down here, it's not going to be there anymore, and you are going to burn yourself out instead of move forward with passion. So you have to find that balance. We were talking about balance and harmony and unity, and this has come up in one of the most recent readings about learning when to take action and when not to, when to be receptive and rest, when to make moves and journey forward. And when you can utilize both aspects of yourself at any time, you come into balance. So what is it that inspires you to move forward? How can you focus on that, on what inspires you, instead of what has caused you pain in the past that might be making you get stuck in cycles? Okay, and we have here, yeah, 9 of Swords. This is a lot of sleepless nights. This is mental anguish. It's the card before the ultimate betrayal. So a lot of you, wow, and then the Artist card just went flying out. Which is, again, that's like the Magician 2.0 in this deck. What do you want to manifest more of? Because again, remember, whatever we're giving attention to, and that's what we're going to continue doing the next day, because that's what we're attracting more of. So if you keep telling yourself these terrible, for some of you, I'm strong, like you are too hard on yourself mentally because of some trauma you experienced when you were a child. Again, talk to a professional if you need talk therapy. You don't have to get medication. You don't have to get a diagnosis. Talk therapy is emotional support. And when you get more comfortable with emotional support from others, you can start nurturing yourself, which means you can give your love to this partner or this project or this blessing that you want to invest in. Okay? But you have to be willing to nurture yourself. And that could be where you're getting hung up here, is you're trying so hard to manifest an outcome, but you're doing it from a place of betrayal. You're doing it from a place of lack. You're doing it from a place of, it seems like for some of you, you're in this loop where you are continuously convincing yourself that this person, for those of you that this is about a relationship, this Empress is just going to do all the terrible things to you. And then when you think about those things, it triggers more emotional flashbacks. Then you imprint and project that feeling of those emotional flashbacks of things that other people made you feel by being unkind to you, which you replay as your inner critic in your mind. And then you project that onto this person. You find ways and flaws that you are, then you essentially start projecting that anguish, that mental anguish that you're suffering through onto the person of your, who's obviously not in that energy. Spirit, how can we help this person and these people? Excuse me, that felt really personal for a second. If you need a personal reading, feel free to request a pre-recorded message or book with me. Wow. Oh, wow. Ace of Cups just came out. We have everything except the Ace of Swords. So some of you are still seeking the truth, which the Ace of Swords represents, and the absence of it is pointing out the need for it. Okay? But the Ace of Cups is a divine blessing of love. You have a divine blessing of love, a divine blessing of passionate inspiration, a divine physical blessing coming to you with this change. With, again, remember the Death card. And Spirit's there helping you through this. And this Ace of Cups, this is also about mastering self-love, right? So there's obviously a reason that this Empress energy is attracting to you, whether it's a person, a place, or a thing. You want to embody that. And that's not saying that some of you want to become a woman. If you're going down that road, then I don't know if you're, oh, I'm going to piss some people off. I don't know if you're emotionally mature enough to handle this message. If you're still here, you're brave. You're brave. I'll give you that. And perhaps it'll bring you some more emotional intelligence to add to your toolkit. You know, we can always we can make it work out in your favor if you believe that is possible, right? So Ace Cups is about finding that true self-love within oneself. Yes, to be able to give your cup of love to someone else, which has also come up in our readings. Interesting. The Hanged Man, but in reverse. That is the only card we have received in reverse. And the Ten of Pentacles in reverse. Interesting. The only... And the card, the deck's upright. Okay. Well, that's very interesting. Okay, so the Hangman is about having another perspective, and also going into deep meditation, receiving clarity. Spirit's telling you to get out of meditation because you're stuck. You're stuck. You're seeing things in an upside down perspective, because the Hanged One or Hanged Man or whatever is someone hanging upside down from a tree from their feet, like Odin on Yggdrasil, the world tree, right? Deep meditation, deep submerging of the subconscious, mastering psychic spiritual gifts, right? The song The Mist is coming up next, and this was just after the song Fallen. Some of you have fallen into the mist and you can't get up. That was strange, but it made sense to me. And, it's some of you have gone too deep, and maybe you need a guide to help you find some kind of stability here. And for some of you, I'm getting a side message that you are using stability as an excuse to not trust your divine inspiration, which is sabotaging you, whatever it is that you want to accomplish here. So, like, the Hangman in reverse, like, the person is already upside down on the upright version of the card, right? So when it's upside down, the person is standing upright, but they're in suspense. It's kind of like the absence of gravity. Again, emphasis on grounding. So some of you may have been so focused on your stability that while, yes, you may be really good at physically manifesting or really great with money or your work or whatever, but perhaps you've been so focused on your work, everything else has been in suspense. Everything else has been floating around you, and it doesn't feel tangible to you, and that is why you have only focused on your work. I'm a seer, so like I look into people's souls. I'm reading energy here. I'm not projecting. I'm not judging. I am straight up channeling from source these messages, okay? So please don't take it personally. I mean, take it personally, see where it fits for you, but don't shoot the messenger, right? All right, cool. I'm saying this as a possibility because the Ten of Pentacles next to this and in reverse, that is ultimate legacy. That is the ultimate wealth, wish fulfillment when it comes to your tangible blessings. It is about building an empire. So some of you are so focused on obtaining this thing, whatever it is, and for some of you it's stability, that you have lost your footing. You're not grounded. As ironic as that sounds and contrary to say that by you only focusing on your stability, you're not grounded. Remember what we said about getting lost in the cycles and the loops, and being too focused on something can almost make it to where you can't actually succeed. You have to step back. Well, there's a difference between focusing on how to find stability or grow it or build it and grounding into the energy to attract it like the Empress does. The Empress is ruled by Libra and Taurus. I actually have a mini Empress video series on my Tarot Talk and Astro Tea. Okay? Wow, the lights just flickered, so that was confirmation. Six of Cups. For some of you, this is, wow, and Temperance under that. And Judgment. Wow. And the Chariot. Okay. Well, we do have a lot of, like, higher vibrational energy here. So, like, you have come a long way. I don't want you to think that I'm criticizing you. Yet again, we were talking about how that's a trigger for some of you. That anybody else's opinion might kind of set you off and make you feel like you can't accomplish things because it's something from your childhood. And again, if you've already looked into that, you've already done the work, and say you are in therapy, or you're doing deep spiritual healing work, you have to come up for air every now and again, okay? Because this, once you are able to nurture this inner child I'm hearing for you, you are going to establish temperance and balance within yourself and your life, which will naturally attract, right? We were talking about the Empress being the ultimate divine feminine, ruled by Taurus and Libra. Taurus is an earth sign. It is the sign, it's like the King of Pentacles over here, and the Queen of Pentacles, which, by the way, we have a divine match here. So, like, I'm talking about within you. You have become stable in your feminine and masculine side when it comes to obtaining material security. So now it's time to lean back from that, because sometimes that can become a distraction, especially if you're dealing with old wounds. That can be a distraction from doing the emotional and intellectual work. So for some of you, you need to look into doing that work and stepping away from your physical work. And others of you are too stuck in the spiritual emotional work, and you either need a guide or you need to step back and take a break and ground yourself, because you have it within you to do that. You have it within you to manifest what you want from this, okay? This is, for some of you, those of you that know what spiritual judgment is, that we got the judgment card. This is a huge awakening for you. This is a big change in your life that is transforming you through the shadow. Some of you are mastering the balance between your light and shadow. We got the sun earlier in the reading, remember, which is the most highest vibrational card, other than like a 10 of Cups or the star, right? Star is the healing of all this. But judgment, some of you are under judgment. Spirit is trying to see that if you are going to take action here with the Chariot and claim your own victory and success, which means you have to believe that you are victorious in following your inspirations and passions. You have to believe in yourself. You have to love and nurture yourself. I'm talking about the Ace of Cups we had earlier, right? All these other cards on the table that represent that. So in order to pass judgment for some of you, and this is going to be slightly different depending on your scenario and what exactly is your Empress totem, we'll call it, on how you can be victorious and successful. I feel like for a lot of you, regardless what this is about, it's about feeling like you deserve it, that you are a success, and that regardless of how anyone else will receive you, you actually taking the physical steps towards what it is that you deeply desire, that has motivated you to level up, that's your judgment. You pass that, you accomplish this temperance and balance and this divine unity within yourself, and then you are a match to a divine union counterpart, if that is what you want. Or you are in this divine flow within yourself, and you can master anything from there. So for a lot of you, it's about, instead of focusing on the past, it's about how can we take our visions with us into the future, okay? And for some of you, it's about looking into possibly just transmuting negative energy into positive energy by doing something creative or tangible. That could be this Ace of Pentacles, this other blessing, which is going to give you the Ace of Cups, which came out later, right? This divine love within self. Finding something that you love to do, that could be the gift that kind of brings you out of this dark energy. That, yes, it's good to do the shadow work from time to time, just like it's good to learn how to be on a higher frequency. That is part of the balance, right? And if you know how to transmute your feelings, especially through creativity, You can accomplish that. There's a reason I do singing videos, okay? I started this channel off of that, and that was to raise my vibration when I was in a dark mood, to transmute my emotions. And most of the time I did that, it was because I was feeling extreme darkness projected onto me from others, because I'm also an empath, I'm highly sensitive, and it was swallowing me whole. And in order to call my power back and to move forward and not get stuck in cycles of my own trauma, I realized I can raise my vibration and those energies can't touch me anymore. So I started to sing on YouTube, and then I realized, hey, I'm a decent tarot reader. Let's go. All right. So I discovered my divine inspiration, and I moved forward with that, which helped me get out of loops of the past of emotional trauma. And anytime I feel like I'm getting stuck or I'm getting distracted by other people projecting their heavy emotions onto me, which are not my responsibility to transmute for them, which is a lesson I had to learn in my life, I started to realize I have my own authority. I'm the emperor. I am the master of my own domain. So I'm speaking from experience here. If you think I didn't have tough love on this stuff and I didn't go through everything I'm speaking on, no, I speak from experience, darling, which is why I know you can do it too. Okay? And I got a card here. Knight of Cups. Oh, wow. Woo! That couldn't have been more perfect. Sorry for yelling. I apologize for those with sensitive ears. Knight of Cups, we were just talking about, that was the last night. That's giving your cup of love to whatever it is that you want to give your cup of love to. This was just ultimate confirmation to conclude this part of the reading that you do this. You find out a way to feel successful by just taking the actions forward, by pulling yourself out of the dark, saving yourself, so to speak. You can be the champion for others if that's what you want. For some of you, I'm sensing that you've always wanted to be someone else's hero in a sense, because for some of you, you're very chivalrous. And I'm not encouraging like super outdated traditional roles or anything like that. But you know, when it comes to, some people are diehard romantics, okay? And I feel like I'm speaking specifically to some divine masculines here who just still kind of struggle with the shadow, okay? You are a divine masculine. You have the Emperor and you have the King of Pentacles, okay? And the Emperor takes action. So perhaps for some of you, this has been about every other area of your life you have mastered except personal relationships. And it's perhaps having, so those of you that this is about love, having a desire to level up for somebody else is bringing all those things out of the shadow, things that maybe you put on the back burner to focus on your stability for some of you. And now for some of you, you are kind of self-sabotaging because it's scary. That it's like you can control every other aspect of your life because it's slightly outside of yourself, like in your community or your local environment, whatever groups you're a part of or different circles. You can kind of keep that vulnerability at an arm's length and lead with your skills versus your heart. So that's kind of head over heart. For some of you, you kind of weigh heavily in the mind, and that's caused you to close your heart chakra. If you want to attract love, you have to learn how to open your heart chakra. I've experienced heartbreak again and again, and I have regenerated through it. And actually, people have accused me of being emotionally cold because I can regenerate through heartbreak so quickly. And the reason I can is because I've been effing disappointed and devastated beyond belief. And instead of, the old version of me has made mistakes like everyone else, okay? We're not going to go into that, but I have a shadow too, which I had to face, all right? But when I started pouring into myself instead of just meeting another person or whatever after the last one that broke my heart, first of all, I didn't project that pain onto the next person. And second, I was able to focus on the healing, right? And when I was able to focus on the healing, I was ready to be myself. And when I found myself again, I realized I actually like myself. And when I got comfortable with that, I learned, okay, what's the next thing? I'm going to nurture myself. And then when I got to that point, I got comfortable with being comfortable. Despite all the chaos that has on in my life at certain periods of my life, being able to do that work means that nothing could knock me out of balance or break my heart again, because I chose to lead with my heart and be open. By the way, that's how you receive your blessings. That could be the thing that is blocking this physical blessing, is refusing to open your heart. Opening your heart is also how you create. So for some of you, transmuting through creativity. For some of you, I'm hearing musicians. If you are a musician, perhaps it's time to pick up that instrument or use your voice again. Or for those of you that don't think you're very creative, or you don't have anything that you're really good at, perhaps you just need to connect with nature and observe the beauty and creativity around you. Be an observer of beautiful things. Go to a museum, especially if you consider yourself more intellectual. Go and have a discussion with people. I don't know about other states, but in California, which is where I'm at, we have second Saturday or third Saturday art walk, and it started in the capital in Sacramento and ended up spreading to many other communities in California. So you can go to this free public event where you can walk in and out of any museum for free and mingle and socialize everything from the upscale to the freaking indie rock kids down the alley with the black lights and the, weird art. All right? I would know something about both of those scenes, because I've not only been an observer and patron of art, I've actually had gallery showcasing for my photography at Ace of Spades in Sacramento. I've got some short videos for that in my I think it's About Me clips or whatever. I don't know. You can dig around if you're curious. So, yeah, I think that is an excellent place to leave the epic tarot quest. Interesting. Queen of Cups in reverse was just sitting on the side. Yeah, some of you, this really is about learning how to love yourself in order to be able to love another. And for some of you, it's not about love. It's just about, you need the emotional stability. And in order to move forward on your passions in life, you have to believe that you are worthy of that love within yourself. And by getting stuck in the shadows of the past, it's good to do the shadow work, but it's also really great to have a guide who can help you come out of that if you're going too deep with it. All right? Or you can work with spirit to help you know that. This reading, oh man, all that really, that was a lot. If you hung in, you must really like our community. I don't know what to tell you. Perhaps go check out my last singing video for Scorpio season. Not the first one, but the one I released a handful of days ago, which would have been November 18th or 19th, 2025. Check out the community page or the singing practice, whatever is the most recent. I split that into 2 different videos for the one session. I'm feeling called, and as we're concluding this, the song that comes on, Here Comes the Sun. So everyone, there is happiness to be found with this. Okay, I know if you are used to being in dark cycles, it can feel like the sun is never going to come. But again, if you continue to stay in the darkness and hide yourself away, you are ostracizing yourself, just like everybody who ever did that to you growing up. And you're repeating cycles by refusing to find something to be happy about. It's about the balance, right? All right. So, I just pulled a card from the Medicine Heart Oracle. Interesting. This card looks like the hear no evil, see no evil, speak no evil. You know, the covering of the face, the mouth, the ears. Usually, I've seen it with like monkeys often. That's what this looks like. I'm going to describe the card and then I'm going to read the back, and I think we're going to conclude it. I wanted to get into the, archetypes deck, but I think we've gone over long enough. So this card, there's a dark brown border on the top and the bottom of the card, but not the sides. There are 7 bowls or discs alternating up and down, spread out above 3 brunette, feminine-looking figures who are, it's kind of like the hear no evil, see no evil, speak no evil, but it's a little different. Above the discs is vertical lines of beige and dark brown. Then there is, oh, it's their hair. It's like this elaborate, almost like, I'm hearing Baroque hair. Baroque, not Baroque, Baroque. Like classical, romantic era. Extravagant, fluffy hair. Okay. Marie Antoinette comes to mind, except it's brunette. And these discs are kind of floating in the hair. And they look like they could be sisters. The one on the left is just gently touching the ears with both hands. The one in the middle is holding up a lotus blossom next to her face. She's kind of like she looks like she's almost appeasing, like, hey, you know, like, oh, here's your piece, And then the final one has her finger up to her mouth, like she's shushing, right, quieting something. It's a little mysterious because she doesn't look upset. It's like shh, don't tell anybody, something good is coming, right? The lotus blossom is a symbol of getting through the mud, the muck, growing from the depths of darkness and shooting up through the water to the light. Again, that balance of shadow and light, in order to bloom this beautiful blossom, right? And the fact that this character on the card looks kind of bemused by it, I think that's a word. Bemused? No, bemused. Anyways, just not, it's reminding me of the 4 cups. It's kind of like, yeah, I know I've got this blessing, and yeah, I went through a lot to get it, but I'm kind of over it, whatever. So, for some of you, I think by looking at your past, you will be able to see how far you have come and have more gratitude in your life, which will breed more gratitude. Again, you attract what you put out there. So if you want to start feeling more light and free and be able to move the shadows in a more balanced way, look at what you've rooted into. How did you manage to root into that? And don't go too deep in the shadow. This is not a challenge to do more subconscious work, okay? This is about looking back and being like, okay, this pivotal moment and that pivotal moment. And sometimes it helps to have a guide or a therapist to bounce this off of, to kind of keep you on track so you're not getting too lost in the memories and the feelings that are coming up from those experiences. And when you've done enough healing, eventually you can look back on the past and it doesn't suck you down like the mud, but you can kind of float on the top like that lotus blossom, right? You can be the beautiful manifestation of your own love for all to see, right? And over here, this character on the left, just gently touching the ears. You know what that actually reminds me of? Is somatic healing. Did you know that the vagus nerve is located partially in your ears? So when you are able to stimulate the vagus nerve, you can actually calm down your nervous system. So if you're ever doing deep work or you're just feeling really overwhelmed or stressed, massage your earlobes. You can look up a quick 5-minute video on YouTube to learn how to do this more properly. But massage your ears and learn how to positively stimulate your vagus nerve. That does remind me of that. It's like a gentle massage, and it will help calm down your nervous system, which will help you think clearly, which will cause you to neurologically regulate. And when you can neurologically regulate, you can make better decisions, which helps you emotionally regulate. Okay? So I feel like these discs above, again, there's 7 discs. This reminds me of the 7 of Pentacles. Like, these are things you can invest in. As far as the one over here that's like, maybe focus on the mystery and magic of life again. Think about ways that you could be blessed in the future. What are ways that you could bring more joy and unexpected happy surprises into your life? If you're looking to tap into the joy of your inner child, instead of doing such deep, dark work, maybe focus on loving and nurturing your inner child by doing things that bring you unexpected joy, right? And Archangel Jophiel is coming in strong for this. That angel has got me through some dark times, and I actually started making it one of my regular mantras that I experience laughter, joy, play, and unexpected happy surprises every day and night. And the more I said it, I started to notice it was happening in my reality. Again, manifesting the reality that I wanted to experience. So call upon Archangel Jophiel and ask them to assist you. Now, behind these figures, there's like what looks like almost like a jade wall. And looking at it closer, it's like almost like eyes. Oh, it could also be whales. It is whales. Wow, that is a very minute detail, which kind of reminds me of an aquarium. That could be significant for some. Also, in these little bowls, I just noticed there are little brown and white speckled gerbils. They look like gerbils to me. And inside the bowls are these swirly yellow design, except for the last one on the right, which is, it looks like an Om symbol. And then above the top of this are clusters of different tan little birds. 3 sisters, I'm hearing 3 sisters. That's relevant for somebody. All right, so I'm going to read the card and then we're going to call it a day, all right? Thank you, everyone. So this card is number 40. 40 could be a significant number for you. Also, check the blog post for this video release, because I always share my notebook, which has the angel numbers, animals, totems, spirits, channeled songs, 5D downloads, and more that you can look at that could ping more synchronicities for you. Okay? All right, so it says Collective of the Southwest. Whale Medicine Mentor evokes the song in your soul that needs to be sung. Whale moves slowly as you tend to your inner work and visionary dreaming. I mean, geez Louise, are you listening to this? I'm sorry, let me continue. But I mean, it couldn't be any more spot on, right? Visionary dreaming, there may be a lull in responsiveness from the world around you. Again, being stuck in suspense, being stuck in the mist, everything around you kind of being foggy, not being clear, right? And it says, do not fight your own process. I'm laughing because it's so synchronistic. Almost like I'm psychic, huh? Trust that your inner path will yield divine dividends with grace. Your song shall be heard, emanating high frequency manifestations. Hello, confirmation. What were you talking about? Raising your own vibration by transmuting through creativity. Bringing in higher frequencies in order to attract higher frequency. And the top frequencies that you can attain is love, authenticity, and truth. So if you love yourself, you know your truth, and you are comfortable with your authentic nature, which it's almost like these three different feminine figures represent on this card. And we were talking about the Empress, right? We were talking about Libra energy as well as Taurus, and Libra is also the Justice card. This is how you give yourself justice. This is also how you pass judgment. Don't forget, we had both justice and judgment on the table. Spiritual judgment, okay? That's up to you and the divine. You can always ask for them for clarity and guidance if you feel confused, okay? So I'm going to read that one more time because I kind of interrupted it. 40, Collective of the Southwest. Whale Medicine Mentor evokes the song in your soul that needs to be sung. Whale moves slowly. As you tend to your inner work and visionary dreaming, there may be a lull in responsiveness from the world around you. Do not fight your own process. Trust that your inner path will yield divine dividends with grace. Your song shall be heard, emanating high frequency manifestations. What do you think about that? What did that stimulate from you? What parts of the reading really called to you with the end of that oracle card? I'd love to hear your story in the comments. If you don't feel like sharing your story, that's all good too. Just drop a star emoji in the comments if you made it all the way to the end. And I thank you for being here. So, this is Ellie signing off. Bye, darlings.